Before we start the announcement, we want to take a moment to really send our prayers out to one of our strongest, a member of the Department of Sanitation, passed away this morning. We will be stopping by the garage later, and our hearts goes out to the family members for this unforeseen death. Today we're here to update all New Yorkers on the shooting of a member of the New York City Police Department. An officer was shot this morning on the Lower East Side. Officer was shot in the upper arm in the line of duty while executing a search warrant for a gun. He was transported here to Bellevue Hospital, where Commissioner Tisch and I were thankful to hear that he's expected to have a full recovery from his injuries. We want to thank the medical staff for their quick response and handling the officer. We're grateful to his safety, but we're also angry. We're angry because the shooter is a violent, repeated offender with prior gun arrests who was on parole for narcotics use and sales. We're angry that this man was back on our streets, possesses yet another firearm, and ultimately shoot an NYPD officer. Another example, a reminder of the danger the men and women of the NYPD run towards every day. Your injured officer, one of yours, one of New York City finest, is part of the emergency service unit's finest, was doing what our police officers do every day, searching for bad guys with guns to get them off our streets. And I just visited him and his family, his son and his wife. He's in good spirit and just wants to get back to work. That is his desire. He takes pride and courage to do the job. It takes pride and courage to do the job of running towards danger while others run away. It takes courage to put your life at risk for others, to answer the call for service. And today's investigation could have turned deadly quickly, but thankfully our injured officer and his colleagues are now safe, and the people of New York City are safer because this violent offender is off our streets. I will be praying for his quick recovery, and I want to thank him and all of the NYPD officers who place their lives on the line every day. Thanks to our brave officers and committed public servants. Their efforts is allowing our city to continue to be the safest big city in America. At this time, I will turn it over to Police Commissioner Tisch for more.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Earlier this morning at approximately 8:18, an NYPD ESU detective was shot in an apartment building in the Vladeck houses, confines of the 7th Precinct. He was in that building doing the job that we asked him to do, the incredibly dangerous work of taking illegal guns and the violent criminals who use them off of our streets. The details of this morning's incident are as follows. Field intelligence officers from PSA 4 had received information that there were firearms at the location, and a search warrant was obtained. That search warrant was executed by members of our emergency service unit at approximately 5:09 this morning. The team gained entry and immediately were fired upon by the perpetrator inside the apartment. The perpetrator fired 5 to 6 rounds at our cops. One struck our officer's ballistic shield. Our officers exercised restraint. They did not return fire at that time, and the team tactically repositioned into the hallway. At this point, the perpetrator barricaded himself in the apartment with a couch upright blocking the doorway. The hostage negotiation team responded and were able to make contact with the perpetrator over FaceTime. also getting his family involved to try to do everything possible to de-escalate the situation. We also had information that there was possibly a female in the apartment with the perpetrator, perhaps being held hostage. The suspect eventually disengaged contact with our officers, and at 8:18 this morning, the team attempted to move the couch, which was inside the apartment, out of the doorway. While our officers were in the doorway, the perpetrator shot multiple rounds at our officers again, this time striking an ESU detective with one round in the left shoulder, narrowly missing critical vessels and nerves that could have been life-ending. Officers then returned fire, striking the perpetrator multiple times. He is currently at Bellevue Hospital in not likely condition. Our detective was also brought here to Bellevue Hospital in stable condition. I just spent time with the detective and members of his family, and as the mayor said, I am pleased to report he is in good spirits, and all indications are that he will make a full recovery. But let me be extremely clear. This could have ended very differently, and we should not have been at his door this morning in the first place. The suspect, 35-year-old Edwin Rivera, is a career criminal, a convicted felon with multiple priors for gun possession and narcotics. He has been on parole 4 times, and he is actually on parole today. And I want to be very clear that today is not the only time that Mr. Rivera has been arrested while out on his current parole. He was previously arrested on November 6th, 2024, for criminal possession of stolen property and resisting arrest. The Manhattan DA only charged him with resisting arrest, and so sadly and predictably, and although he was on active parole, he was released the very next day. So the real question here is this: why was this individual out of jail and in a position to shoot our officers? How is the system set up to allow one person to commit multiple violent offenses while out on parole with no consequences? I ask our elected officials up in Albany, our DAs, and our judges, what are you doing here? We should never have had to be at that door this morning. We should never have had a cop shot today. Blessedly, our officer will be going home to his family, and we are all incredibly grateful for that. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart the medical staff of Bellevue Hospital, especially the Chief of Acute Care Surgery, Dr. Spiros Frangos, for their work this morning and for everything that they do for our department. And to the members of the Emergency Service Unit who put their lives on the line every day in some of the most dangerous assignments. Thank you. Scott.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Today, New York City and NYPD are extremely fortunate that we are not planning a funeral for our hero detective who got shot and injured in the line of duty. This incident, once again, underscores the dangers faced by the NYPD detectives. The union's first priority is ensuring our member receives the best possible care and his family is very well taken care of. We are careful for a quick response of his fellow cops and medical professionals providing care. Detectives are the backbone of public safety in New York City. They're the ones who solve crimes, deliver justice to victims, and work to keep violent criminals off the street. Every case they work makes our city safer. Every violent, dangerous incident they respond to demonstrates the impact this brave men and women do in New York City. An attack on one of them is an attack on us, those in blue, and safety and stability of our entire city. It must be commended by everyone in order for the city to be safe. We ask for your thoughts and prayers for a full recovery for our men and women who will continue to serve with bravery and dedication despite the grave risks they take every day. Detectives stand united and will not back down on any commitment protecting our city, and this union will never back down fighting for our members. Thank you very much.
So before we take some on-topic questions, we have a photo of the bar on meetings covered this morning.
Okay.
All right, folks, we're going to take some on-topic questions. On-topic questions. Okay, we're going to start with Marla Diamond, 10 wins.
Okay, so can you give us a timeline of the shooting? You spoke about an officer that was struck in the vest, and then we have the other officer. So when your officer was shot in the arm, was that as the police were going in or breaking down the door? Can you talk about the timeline of events?
So
shooting in the second.
the officers were initially making entry at 5:04 in the morning, where they're fired upon. They said they tactically move out of the hallway. They use a lot of restraint. They don't fire back because they don't know exactly what's going on in the apartment. They reposition themselves, and then they decide to make re-entry again. This time the officer is shot in the left shoulder. So there's two entries made. The initial entry, the officers are shot in the ballistic shield. They reposition. They make a second entry. The officer is shot in the left shoulder.
And that's when officers fired at the...
That is correct. Okay, we're going to move on to WABC, Steph Hunkin.
Was there a hostage inside? You said that you thought there was.
Initially, we thought that there was a female in the apartment. As it turned out, that was not the case. We're going to go over to WNYC for Nick.
Yes, hi. Wondering if you could tell us about the suspect's injuries at this time, where he was shot, and then did the member of service, the ESU officer, require any surgery?
As of right now, the officer has not required surgery. He's being treated. And as far as the perpetrator's injury, he's shot multiple times on his left flank, the left side of his body. Okay, go over to John Mueller from Pitt.
I missed his condition. What's the condition of the perpetrator?
The perpetrator right now is not in serious condition. He's not likely to die.